Myself Habib. I'm heading the HR department, HR and EHS for Mahindra CI Automotive Limited, Gears Division, Rajkot plant. So I'm coming up with almost 13 plus years of experience. And core, if we speak about, so I have touched upon all areas of HR, but currently more into the strategic HR, OD, and ENT, and the safety initiatives.
Okay, great.
Good evening, Habib.
Okay, so let's start with our session then. Right. So today we are going to discuss about union settlements. So earlier also I have discussed or touched upon the settlements, but these were settlements from Industrial Dispute Act point of view, where we discussed about 2P and 18(1) settlements. So that was discussed in a nutshell. But now the thing is that majority of the organizations are not having that much unionized environment, which used to have earlier, say 15 to 20 or 25 years ago, right? And especially these unions were very strong during the 70s and 80s period, right? So these were basically the textile mills of Mumbai, where all these activities were carried out, even inside the plant as well as the outside the plant, and the political, what you can say, interference was much there. Still, there are some pockets in India where these kind of unions are very strong. Can anybody help me recollecting those areas where these unions are very strong even till now, to date?
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Yes.
Good evening, Ashok. Yeah, Habib.
Yeah, actually, I recall that cotton industries was. I am not able to figure out the name, but it's like it was called Doctor Saab. But I'm just recollecting the name. It's a very prominent name. So that was 70s, 80s when the entire union was dominating the management. Second, you spoke about the pockets of India where union are still strong. So basically, West Bengal,
Yes.
Maharashtra, and in southern, basically now into Tamil Nadu also unions are very strong, and Kerala actually don't
is one of the major hub, you can say.
Yeah, those states which are basically they have their communist. So in that
Yes.
unions are found to be strong.
Correct. So yes, majority where the communist government is there we have seen, means it has been our observation that in that area the unions are very strong, right? And or where there is more of a strong capitalism, right, which we see normally in Maharashtra, especially in Mumbai. And we have seen these kind of major unions coming up from Mumbai, especially backed by political parties and in the areas of textile industry, majority. So now the question is that Pradeep, how is the situation towards towards the Pune region? Because automotive industry is also one of the area where these kind of union activities are there.
Yes. Mostly in the Pune part, Pune industrial belt. It's in the Talegaon, Chakan, Ranjangaon area. Political parties are very influences that one, like the NCP or the BJP, and the unions from the BJP and NCP, and somewhat the Congress parties, like the Intak. So supportive from the Congress party, Intak Union. that is having the influences in the Pune belt. But as per my observation or whatever the survey that I had in the last 4 5 years, most of the companies or the most of the management, they have the managed the unions in the internally.
Correct.
Affiliation to the external any political party or the any political influences, mostly the management is not interested for that one, because
Correct.
somewhat the as a HR fellow or the somewhat the management, just they are having a little bit uh, hesitation in their mind. If we directly affiliated to any political party, it might be directly influenced to the our production. Like the 2 3 years back, we had a situation in the Maharashtra regarding the uh, 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 Maratha communities reservations.
Reservations, right.
2 3 in the 2018 or 17, in that mid 17 to 18. But that I think 2 3% obviously influenced on the production of the that Pune belt. Okay, because that external unions or the external political parties or influences, they directly totally call the suddenly off today, tomorrow it will be the no work day in this area and that area. So it
Right.
might be a little bit creates the hesitation in the mind. But nowadays, companies are not interested to affiliate it, to give the affiliation to the unions for the any external parties.
Right. Now, there are some rules and regulations also where management deserves the right to means recognize the union or not. Right. And some states have compulsion that you have to means compulsory recognize or you can deny those things. So those scenarios are also there in many of the things. So now when we talk about union settlements, right, and negotiations, so when these kind of typical union settlement situation arises.
See, union, first of all, I like to clear the one thing. No any company, no any management, no any HR persons deny the union of the employees in the organization, where
Correct.
it is a blue color or white color, because it is a fundamental right as per I think section 321 of the constitution. I don't
Constitution. Article 321.
article
Hmm.
321.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
extremely sorry whether please correct me whether the
No, 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 it's
article
okay, it's okay.
article is 321 or not. Somewhat I read that one.
Yeah, whatever the number is immaterial. The whole intention is to understand the crux of it and understand the logic behind those provisions. Yes, please continue, Pradeep.
And the second thing, no, I like to focus on the one thing. Forget about the new IR code. First of all, go with the old ID Act, and
Absolutely.
and then I will be focused on the new IR
Yeah.
code.
So now here it becomes more imperative that you understand the Industrial Dispute Act first. That is number one thing. राइट सेकंड थिंग इज दैट न्यू आईआर कोड वो जब आएगा तब आएगा और आने के बाद भी जब तक आपको पुराना नहीं पता होगा तो नया कुछ समझ में भी नहीं आएगा
Exactly.
राइट बिकॉज वो पुराना जो उसका फाउंडेशन है वो नया जो है उसका फाउंडेशन जो है वो पूरा पुराने पे बेस्ड है
Exactly.
so
Now,
yeah
in the ID Act or the MRTU, Maharashtra Trade Recurrence
ट्रेड
Union,
हाँ
MRTU, that act is called. If the total strength is near about the 50% or more, and the employees are they come towards the you or the any appropriate government authority, they may file the any application to the appropriate government authority, means ALC or DLC,
डीएलसी
Assistant Labor Commissioner or the Deputy Labor Commissioner. Mostly
करेक्ट
in the Maharashtra, DLC is taking decision of that area, DLC, Deputy Labor Commissioner. They
राइट
file the application for the affiliation of the union. Then after it comes to the management, this types of the union was they like to form. these types of the members are they like to affiliated to union, whether you have recognized or not. Now, in
Right.
some cases, in some
So
of
this
them,
is basically you receive as a notice to
notice from
management.
the notice to the management.
Notice to
Now,
management, not from
notice to
management.
the management. Now,
Right.
it depends upon the management whether they like to go means give the green signal or not. Now, in some of the
But
cases,
then in that case, Pradeep, क्या मैनेजमेंट के पास राइट है कि वो रेड सिग्नल करके उसको बोले कि नहीं भी हम इनको नहीं करते?
I like to focus on that one.
Right.
One of the American companies in the Pune, his name is the Belden. It is a manufacturing company. Last
Okay.
3 years, the employees of that Belden means technician employees. Okay, we can say about the blue collars. They file the application to the DLC, and now the management goes to the in the court, labor court. Okay, but we did not like to permit them as a union. So last 3 years that उनका वो झगड़ा चल रहा है, but
नहीं, लेकिन
it
क्या
depends.
मैनेजमेंट कर सकता है क्या वैसे?
Management, sir, fundamentally they are having no any right about it, because already constitution gives the permission
Correct.
for the union. Okay, but
But
if you
then
like to stretch, or the management like to stretch the matter, they like to stretch. But fundamentally, it is not a good way. As my personal opinion is that.
Yes, what Ashok is mentioning is that yes, you cannot stop them, but then अशोक उनको रिकॉग्नाइज करना नहीं करना वो तो हमारे हाथ में होता है ना.
Actually, we cannot stop them to recognize to form union. But yes, if I think the number is 100 or 300, these for formation of union, there are two types of number. If the union
Say for example, it is only for 35% of the people are forming union. Right. Then if you are HR head of that organization and you receive such notice, right? क्योंकि वो notice वो तुमको DLC के पास से भी आएगा और जो union बना रहे हैं उनके पास से भी आएगा. Correct. हाँ, तो तुम क्या करोगे उस चीज उसमें सिचुएशन में?
तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल तो हम यही ट्राई करेंगे कि यूनियन फॉर्म ना ही हो.
नहीं, अभी वो तो हो गया है, अभी उन्होंने रजिस्टर भी कर दिया, अप्लाई भी कर दिए.
नहीं, आइडिया नहीं. No idea.
No, means अगर majority people are not joining that union, only handful of people have joined, so whether you will recognize them or you will not recognize them.
At least for formation of union, at least 7 number is mandatory to formation for the union. If the 7 persons are agreed and they are forming union, then we as a management we have to give them permissions.
So basically they have their rights and we cannot do anything about that, right? So let them form union. है कि नहीं?
Yes.
Habib, what is your experience in this? Have you?
Actually, we have to recognize that union because
Correct.
yes, that is a legal requirement that any union we have formed has to be recognized. In case you have more than 2 unions, in that we can decide on which union to have prominence. Those have majority member. Ideally, 51% of the employees in a union
are
then that
required.
union will be qualified. Yes.
So that becomes a recognized union.
Yes.
And then it may be referred as major union and another would be a minor union.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right. Wherein then the issue is that many times negotiation के वक्त minor union भी बहुत लफड़े करना शुरू कर देते हैं. Right. So yes, so you have to recognize, and if there are two sets of union, then you have to basically look into majority of the masses की 51% कहाँ पे है, और जो मेजर यूनियन होगा उसको आपको रिकॉग्नाइज करना पड़ेगा, राइट? और टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट, now the fundamental question remains is that are unions good or they should not be encouraged?
They are good.
Sometimes
Okay.
sometimes unions are good.
Why?
I mean,
Uh,
it's 50-50, but I would still prefer having unions. And I can give a recent case study that I was reading. Somewhere, I don't know how much it is valid. I mean, how valid is that? But if we look at urban clap recently, so in Delhi, most of the females realized that somewhere a lot of commissions were kind of getting cut from their thing because COVID happened and all of them started their parlor thing through Urban Clap. So they were forced to use the Urban Clap products, and then commissions were cut. And if you are not reaching on time, so commissions were cut for that as well. A lot of disciplinary actions were happening. And third thing was safety issues, because tomorrow if you are going to someone's place and
Hold on, Deepsha. When there is a contract kind of thing, because I don't think they are employees, right?
yes, they're not employees, they're on contract.
Then can for these kind of things, can Urban Clap take disciplinary actions against these guys?
So since they're paying, whatever I read in that case study, it meant that they were kind of deducting money from their whatever they were eligible for that session. If they are not reaching.
So the commission slab was siphoned, you can say.
Yes. So in that way, whatever they were supposed to get, they were not getting that as well.
Correct. Yes. Okay, then.
And third case was safety issues, because females going to someone's place and there you reach there and then you finally realize that okay, I have been called there not because of giving a spa or a parlor service, but there are people out there and my safety is under concern. So that issue also came up. So because of these issues, what happened was all of these females kind of formed a union. They were taking the help of a union to kind of curb these issues for them. So indirectly, directly, if there's also no union, other trade unions do help, but at least they were able to voice out their reasons, and some steps were taken by Urban Club as well. I mean, a lot of issues have been kind of, the HRs are actually trying to solve those issues.
Yes, Ashok, you were putting up some point forward.
Yes, sir. Sometimes union are good because if any issues is arising in the company and that union is no face, means all are becoming hero, and management is not looking to whom we should talk. In that conditions, uniform formation of union is good because somewhere we can identify he is the president or he is the secretary or he is the so and so person to whom we should discuss first thing. And second thing, the company which are running and exploiting exploitation or doing exploitation of the workers, in that company, union can perform very good.
Right. So basically, what would you prefer, a company with union or without union?
But as a management, we should not encourage union.
दोनों तरफ बोलोगे तो नहीं चलेगा अशोक.
Actually,
see, I'm looking for some valid, what you can say, legal grounds, right, or legal reasons. So I'm looking for some Hello, am I audible?
Better we work in a company where there are no union thing issues. So that could be managed better. Otherwise, if there is union other side, employee one side, and management, then I think role of HR becomes very tough, very difficult life then.
Right. So now the thing is that I am looking for some valid legal points from HR perspective.
Whether it is good or bad,
What do you think?
what is the legal answer?
I'm not talking about legal answer, but I'm looking for some points because I want you to have a different perspective for on this point, right? और वो दूसरा perspective ये है basically कि अगर union है, right? तो हम उनको legally कैसे धरपकड़ सकते हैं? Right? If you ask me, then I would be the happiest person to work with a unionized company. The reason being that if matter is subjudicial और मैटर इज अंडर डिस्कशन और इट इज अंडर कंसिलिएशन और कोर्ट में बात चल रही है, कुछ भी चल रहा है किसी भी मैटर पे, तो एटलीस्ट दे डू नॉट हैव अंडर सेक्शन 22 and 23 of Industrial Dispute Act, right? They are prohibited of going on strikes or during the pendency of the proceedings. अगर यूनियनाइज्ड एनवायरनमेंट नहीं है तो ये मस्ती इनकी हर वक्त चलती रहेगी.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you. The best example that you all just like you give under the section, ये है conciliation. When it is in the conciliation के अंडर जब ये जाता है ना उनका वेस्ट सेटलमेंट, then they have no any right for the strike.
हाँ, फिर स्ट्राइक का लफड़ा खत्म हो जाता है, फिर वो चलता रहेगा तुम्हारा, जब तक कंसिलिएशन चलता रहेगा तब तक कुछ नहीं होगा.
बट सर ये तो सेकंड और थर्ड स्टेप्स है, स्टार्टिंग तो फॉर्मेशन से ही है कि यूनियन होना चाहिए कि नहीं होना चाहिए.
हाँ, मींस होना ही चाहिए ना. मैं तो बोलता हूँ कि अगर मैं हूं तो मैं सामने से फॉर्म करवा दूंगा यूनियन. बनाओ, मैं आपको सपोर्ट करता हूँ. Right? Basically, somewhere you have to educate them, and by education only you can control them.
Valid.
Right? So yes, having these union is definitely is an advantage situation if you are able to deal with the psychic or psychology of these people. Then yes, it is very good, and you should have unions. Basically, what happens is that we will discuss further that during negotiation you get so many points to handhold them. Handholding तो होता ही है, लेकिन आपके पास इतनी ताकत होती है कि वो हाथ को कितने जोर से दबाना है और कितना ढीला छोड़ना है, वो आपके पास कंट्रोल होता है उसमें. जहां पे यूनियन की बात आ जाती है, उन्होंने अपना चार्टर ऑफ डिमांड रखा तो आपने भी अपने सामने मैनेजमेंट ऑफ चार्टर ऑफ डिमांड रख दिया, मैनेजमेंट का.
बट सर इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल टू फुलफिल द रिक्वायरमेंट ऑलवेज.
yes, it is very correct, and I would wish कि वो लोग एकदम अनरियलिस्टिक डिमांड्स रखे.
Sir, I tell you one live example. In my first organization, Hewlett Packard, where I have been working in 2008 to 10. At that time, union people were forming union at that time, but they could not. Then they they went for slow down, right? And that time they demanded, yes, go slow, and they were demanded around 10,000 increment at that time in 2008. Okay, and after many negotiations, management agreed ki okay, in first year we will give you 5,000 rupees, and second year 3,000, later on 2,000. Okay, and after 3 years again they started to revise their wages. I think after that time, management revised their payment twice or three times. I don't know exactly, but now each and every workers who are getting rupees around 50,000 something, soft floor worker, and finally, uh, management decided to shut the company, and they informed them कि okay, those who are interested to take BRS, we can give them BRS. Otherwise, we are closing this company. And again, these people were demanded for BRS around 2 crore or 3 crore per worker. And finally, company shifted their management to this Gurgaon office, and और उन्होंने ताला डाल दिया और केस अभी पेंडिंग है, मतलब कोर्ट में चलता रहेगा.
ओके, तो हम इसके बाद ये भी इवेंट्स, ये यूनियन का हो जाए, उसके बाद वो भी देखेंगे कि भाई बीआरएस कैसे डिजाइन करनी है, कैसे इन लोगों को देना है और कैसे कंपनियों को ताला लगाना है. सो विल बी डिस्कसिंग ऑन दोस एरियाज आल्सो इवेंचुअली.
नहीं तो उनकी जो ताला लगाने की जो प्रोसीडिंग है वो तो उन्होंने फॉलो की होगी, बट ये जो लीगल डिमांड थी नहीं उनकी.
हाँ,
कुछ भी अनसेंड मांग लेना.
हाँ, सो जस्टिफाइड एंड लीगल.
यस,
राइट. सो सिमिलरली वो स्ट्राइक्स में भी आता है ना, whether this strike is legal and not justified or it is illegal and justified. So can it be illegal and justified? Can it be justified and legal? बहुत सारी चीजें होती है ना. राइट. सो उन सिनेरियोस को भी हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ सेशंस. मेरे ख्याल से ये लंबा जाने वाला है इस बार यूनियन नेगोशिएशन का सेशन.
But quite interesting, huh?
Huh?
But quite interesting.
Yeah. Right. So I think it will be helpful to those who have not faced unions, right, or those भविष्य में शायद आपको अगर कहीं face करना पड़े. So these are few of the handy tips that, or discussion tips that you will find it handy to start with. Right. Okay. So let's start with this thing. So introduction. So no book is going to teach you how to deal with unions. Right. अगर कहीं पे पढ़ना होता तो आप लोग अब तक पढ़ चुके होते. Correct?
Yes.
So it basically comes with all hardcore experience, people skills, and the way you understand union leaders or their psychology. Right. So here I would suggest that give yourself some time and also understand the psychology of behaviors and all those things. Right. No doubt you must be having subjects of psychology and sociology in your curriculum of MBA or MSW. अभी तो पता नहीं, अभी तो बहुत चेंज हो गया सब कुछ, लेकिन हमारे टाइम पे वो करते थे, सिखाते थे. वो इसके लिए सिखाते थे कि आप अंडरस्टैंड करो कि कितना साइकोलॉजिकली किसी को अंडरस्टैंड करने के बाद उसके दिमाग के पीछे और क्या चल रहा है वो भी आपको पता लग सके. राइट. एंड देन some are friendly and cooperate with management, some are militant unions. Right. So they always question each and every policies or this thing. Correct. So ये हर जगह होते रहते हैं. Right. So many of the companies encourage internal unions, जैसे मैं बता रहा था. Right. And they have their own leaders and they are not influenced by any outside parties or political parties. Right. Some unions are very highly politicized and affiliated to external political parties or trade unions. Right. जैसे इंटुक है और फिर दूसरे कौन से है जो externally affiliated है.
BMC.
और फिर कौन सा मजदूर संघ है कुछ. राइट. So at higher level, if the organization is of national presence, right, तो फिर तुम्हारे CHRO और हेड HR को भी उतने पॉलिटिकल कनेक्शंस भी बना के रखने पड़ते हैं, है कि नहीं? या तो फिर तुम्हारे जो CEO होते हैं या जो ओनर्स होते हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के, उनको भी उतना पॉलिटिकली इन्फ्लुएंस रखना पड़ता है कि ऐसी जब सिचुएशन आए तो एटलीस्ट दे कैन फाइंड अ वे आउट। Correct? Right. So some unions have their strong union leaders within the organizations. Have you experienced these kind of strong union leaders? Anyone? या ऐसे यूनियन लीडर जिन्होंने खुद ने LLB करके रखी हो लेबर लॉज में?
Mr. Raghunath Kuchik is in the Pune area. He is a strongly influence of that one.
Okay.
And Mr. Yashwant Bhosle in the Ranjangaon industrial belt. The interaction with Raghunath Kuchik, yes, he having the sense of humor somewhat. Yes, sometimes he think about the management also. But these are the new areas, leader. Just recent 3, 4, 5 years. In your time, that was a, I think Mr. Datta Saman or the Rajan Nair names was people was taking too much.
These people were very politically influenced, and politically very strong. Right, but I dealt with one of the union leader in Daman region, and can you imagine that union leader was basically retired deputy labor commissioner. So you face a union leader who himself was an ex-deputy labor commissioner. अभी उससे आप लोग क्या ही झगड़ा कर लोगे? Because in Panasonic we were supposed to, I was supposed to close one unit, and that was a warehouse, and those warehouse was having some drivers and cleaners, and then they formed a union and they got his support, and he was recently retired, and he was representing them. So at one time, when means you go to a labor commissioner or DLC, at that time you put a different point of view, and then when this union is formed, and then you sit across the table with him as a union leader also. And then just imagine the kind of difficulty you can face, because whatever the legal points or counter you are going to put, right, it will be always be countered by another legal point. Normally negotiation में क्या होता है, या तो आपने भी, how many of you have got into these kind of union negotiations? Pradeep is having experience.
There is always attack, counter attack.
Correct.
In the negotiation, what I having the experience. When you sit on front of them, you should have the dossier with their whole history about the absenteeism, about the legal cases, about the production, machine
about the
output,
productivity, efficiency, equipment
everything.
efficiencies,
everything.
Right.
Then you will be successful in the that negotiations part.
Correct.
वो
And
तो
that
कुछ भी
is,
मांगेंगे, उनका right है.
and that is the reason I always advocate that you should also understand the business.
But for that dossier, you
Yes.
should have prepared the 4 years. You require the 4 years. अभी आपका सेटलमेंट आज साइन हुआ है, कल से इसके ऊपर काम चालू कर दो नेक्स्ट 4 years के लिए.
हाँ.
Then you will be prepared that platform, and then they will be under your control. This is my personal experience that I am
Correct.
I
Absolutely.
have faced. And it doesn't matter whether your company is a Indian origin or the MNC base, or it doesn't matter, because I have the experience of the both organization, MNC and the Indian origin, family run business too. It doesn't matter.
Correct.
But in this negotiation, I think HR plays a most important role. HR को ये बताना चाहिए कि what was we done for you, what is our plan for the future, and production का plan क्या रहेगा, what is the business scenario, how we can cater that one, what's your idea, what's your school of thoughts on that one, how
Correct.
you can contribute.
And
अगर
that is
उनको
the
भी थोड़ा
reason,
सा-
and this is the reason HR should also understand business, and then only that strategic alignment will be there. अगर धंधा ही नहीं समझोगे तो फिर क्या ही आगे कर लोगे?
because they having the tendency, sir, बाजू वाली कंपनी ने 20,000 बढ़ा के दिया है, उसके बगल वाले ने 40,000 दिया है, why will you not go for the 80,000, 90,000? I will put the one example. In 2018, Mahindra Vehicles Manufacturing Limited, MEVL, which is having the 700-800 acre plant in the Chakan, the internal union put the demand on front of the management. Would you imagine? They said कि हमको 1.5 lakh रुपए per month राइट चाहिए. The HR had asked them, ये 1.5 lakh रुपए कहाँ से आ गया per month? They said, sir, महिंद्रा एंड महिंद्रा का बिजनेस वर्ल्ड वाइड जो है $80 billion का है. अरे, so if you give the maturity about your business, then they will be able to drop down. उसके लिए आपको dialogue continue maintain करने पड़ेंगे. And it is not a one night job. It takes the several years also. You have to, जैसे स्कूल में जैसे 50 लड़के का एक ये रहता है बैच, उसमें से 1-2 तो टॉपर रहते हैं, और कुछ लोग जो बैक बेंचर्स रहते हैं ना, तो बैक बेंचर से आखिर आपके काम में आते हैं.
Correct.
So like you have to tap that back benchers in the union also, in your organization also, and you have to play. See, this is a win-win situation always. Don't think on their side also, and don't think from our side also.
Correct. Right. So yes, as we discussed about recognition of union. So normally the management gives recognition to the major union, right? Like what Habib mentioned, that yes, 51% जिसके पास strength होगा membership का, उसको major union recognize किया जाएगा. लेकिन क्या होगा अगर 3 यूनियन हो और किसी के पास मेजोरिटी ना हो तो?
In that case, 2 unions can form a coalition, and they can have their respective representatives on board for these negotiations.
Correct. So coalition. गवर्नमेंट बनाने के लिए 2 पार्टियां इकट्ठी हो गई. Right. So basically two unions can basically have common minimum program, and then they can just get into recognition, right? So in some state it is mandatory to by law to recognize the union and deal with them, right? So ये अभी तो हर जगह ही हो गया है. So while entering into long-term settlement, it is always able to deal with the majority union and make other union party to the settlement, right? So अभी ये long-term settlement जब होता है, so how many types of settlements are there? Can anyone help me recalling?
So majorly it's long-term settlement is in most of the cases, but in some cases, like interim settlement also, like in case there's some arbitration conciliation going on, so interim settlement they can do until you have come up with a
Final
no
conclusion.
yeah, final conclusion. So that sort of arrangement is also being done.
Okay.
So these are the two things I have heard about, and because majorly the companies do for 3 or 5 years, so there is nothing like a 1 year settlement. So 3 and 5 years I have heard, and this is the interim settlement in case the matter goes to the arbitration conciliation. Then in that case they come with an interim this settlement sort of thing.
Okay, so the settlements which means the matter which goes into arbitration or conciliation and then settlement happens, right? So those are formed under which section? 18(1). And then there are some settlements which are done under section 2P, which are known as weak settlements. Right? Because what happens, अभी 18(1) और 2P में हमको difference understand करना थोड़ा जरूरी है. So 2P में क्या होता है? Basically it is the bi-party agreement. Right? जहाँ पे इन्होंने बोला कि हम आपको इतना इतना देंगे, इतना राइस देंगे, इतना ऐसा ऐसा करके दे देंगे, and they agree upon, and then they sign a thing. They sign the document, the president signs, the secretary signs, either management representative sign कर लेते हैं और 2P में कर लेते हैं settlement. So, but these are basically known as weak settlements. Why they are known as weak settlement? Any idea?
Probably this like MOUs that both the parties are signing, so they don't
Right.
means they don't have a very strong legal identity. Whereas in this LTS, you have the
It is
labor
basically
commissioner.
an understanding, you can say, right? Wherein in long-term LTS, basically the government is also party to it, and that is the reason it becomes mandatory for everybody to follow the terms and conditions that has been agreed upon. So वो terms and conditions अगर कहीं पे fulfill नहीं होती है तो फिर basically first thing what you have to do is you have to go into court of law. Correct?
Yes, yes.
Right? और अगर कोर्ट ऑफ लॉ में एक बार गए तो फिर स्ट्राइक वाइक कोई करेगा नहीं, लॉकआउट वॉकआउट कोई करेगा नहीं, because then there are the proceedings are pending in court of law. So that is the reason it is always advisable to go into a LTS. अगर एक यूनियन है तो एक यूनियन के साथ चले जाओ, अगर 2-3 यूनियन है तो मेजॉरिटी यूनियन के साथ चले जाओ, और फिर उसमें वो जो माइनर यूनियन है उनको भी पार्टी बना दो. Correct. So either by the way of bi-party or tri-party. So normally tri-party long-term settlement with tri-party agreements are the best one. अगर ऐसा न करके नहीं गए तो जो तुम जब छोड़ के जाओगे फिर दूसरा HR हेड आएगा, वो इतनी गालियां देगा जिसका कोई हिसाब नहीं होगा. And then it will impact your credibility. अरे पता नहीं कौन था वो नितेश सावंत, क्या गंद मचा के गया था. People will say like that. Correct? अरे नॉर्मली होता है ना, जब हम चार्ज लेते हैं किसी में, सिर्फ यूनियन की बात नहीं कर रहा, लेकिन हम किसी भी डिपार्टमेंट में चार्ज लेते हैं या तो एज एन HR एग्जीक्यूटिव चार्ज लेते हैं, we find so many flaws in the earlier system. ना that person, how he was performing, how he was doing, अरे यार इतना भी नहीं पता था. So we form an opinion about him. So it is always better that keep your work एकदम साफ सुथरा, so that people don't talk behind your back once you have left the organization. Correct? So always go for long-term settlements with tri-party agreements. Yes, Shivansh.
Sir, can you please explain tri-party settlement again?
Yes, Nitish, plus one.
Huh?
While term and tri-party?
Sorry, why?
Why long term and why tri-party together?
Hmm. Can anybody help me? Habib, Pradeep? Why tri-party and why long term?
Basically in that we sir told that two means when we are not going for arbitration conciliation and the settlement happens inside our own company. In that case, the union and the representative of the company and the union representative, they are the only two parties involved in that agreement or the
So they
settlement.
are
So it's called bipartite.
signed under section 2P, that is definition of settlement under Industrial Dispute Act, right?
Yes, yes,
Yes. Please carry on, Habib. Yeah.
yes. In under section 18, so there are three parties involved. There are two, the management, the union, and third is the labor commissionerate office or the government. So it
Government
is called
authorities.
tripartite, and that is actually the valid agreement, and it stands no in the eye of law. Whenever there's a dispute, so that agreement will stand as an evidence that these terms and conditions have been agreed by the two parties, and the labor commissioner has been the witness to this agreement.
Correct. So whenever now, if there is some dispute, if either of the party is not adhering to the terms and conditions, then they can file or they can approach labor commissioner and make a written complaint. That is the reason it is suggested to go for long term and tri-party agreement. Second thing, the reason for going for long term is basically that these settlements and union negotiations take many a times 1 year, 2 years, more than 2 years times, right? So अभी एक साल का खत्म किया नहीं, उसके पहले एक साल का नेगोशिएट करने में ही 2-3 साल लग रहे हैं, तो फिर अब तो कितना और बैकलॉग बढ़ता जाएगा. सो एक साल में एक नेगोशिएशन करो और फिर 5 साल की शांति. सो बेसिकली दिस यूनियन इज बेसिकली टू हैव काइंड ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियल पीस, राइट? सो द लॉन्गर द टर्म यू सर्व, अगर 5 साल का एग्रीमेंट करते हो तो 5 साल की शांति हो जाती है. तो नॉर्मली एचआर हेड प्रीफर क्या करते हैं कि एक बार अगर यूनियन से नेगोशिएशन होके लॉन्ग टर्म सेटलमेंट साइन कर लिया, देन दे प्रीफर टू चेंज देयर जॉब्स. अब कुछ ज्यादा करने को यहाँ पे बचा नहीं है. दिस इज मेंटेलिटी ऑफ स्पेशली आईआर हेड्स. राइट?
Exactly.
Okay. So settlements के टॉपिक अभी हम लें, because I think okay, it has been almost 1 hour that we have been discussing on this thing, but I hope you get some idea of this thing. Right. So I think let's do one thing. Let's stop this session here today, and we will start with a fresh session on settlement. Basically, I will bring some charter of demand given by the unions, the copies of those things, and then we can discuss it out. Or if anybody have those kind of copies, है किसी के पास charter of demand का copy? Pradeep?
Yes, sir. I having that COD, but it is in the regional language in Marathi.
अच्छा, ठीक है. देखो अंग्रेजी में कुछ मिले तो देखो.
So actually, one or two companies, I'll share it across in WhatsApp. Maybe I think I have for Unilever and other company. So in case I'll just share you on the WhatsApp.
Yes, yes. Then what we can do is, Habib, that we will study those charter of demand and then we will discuss on the settlement part.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Right. So our discussion will revolve around that those charter of demand only. Right.
Sure.
So you can share it in the group, Habib, and then
Sure, I'll do that. Yes.
right.
After COD, when the agreement is a signing by both the party or tri-party, I having lots of the agreement, then I will be share the agreement in our
Yes.
next session.
Sure.
So Habib, you take the responsibility of the sharing the CODs after what are the agreements
Yes.
copies?
I'll share you the one CODs.
Okay.
Okay, and what are the agreements from the various manufacturing industries that I will be share on that one for our the study.
Okay, thank you.
Correct. And then if you want, we can also do some role playing. Huh? I will become union leader and you can become HR head.
Okay,
है ना?
yeah. Now we request you play a role of the HR head, and we will be as the union leaders.
Let us see how it can be done.
Because we are working in the HR department in the higher HR department. Okay, so we know very well. अभी हमको उस कुर्सी पे बैठना है.
हाँ, नहीं लेकिन क्या है कि सामने से काउंटर जैसे आएगा ना तो वो that will prepare you in a better way. That is what I think.
Okay, agreed. I think everyone from our team they should have the one question, at least one question. तब मजा आएगा उसमें.
ठीक है चलो तो नेक्स्ट सेशन में वही रोल प्ले करेंगे है ना.
Sure.
ओके तो और कोई सवाल किसी को कुछ है अभी.
My request to all of the team members, please attend the next two sessions. These are very important. As I have the experience of the CODs and agreements, waste settlement, LT. So my humble request to all of you, please attend the next 2 or 3 sessions. It will be very important.
Yeah, so just do one thing. Just create a buzz in the group ना. वो ग्रुप भी बहुत ठंडा पड़ा हुआ है, पब्लिक भी सोई हुई है. तो आप लोग जगाओ सबको अभी कि आज अच्छा मजा आया सेशन में, आज कुछ नया सीखने को मिले, नेक्स्ट वीक में ये करने वाले.
Okay.
है ना.
Okay.
Good. Okay, so shall we call it a day then?
Yeah, sure.
So let's meet next week with some good topics and good discussions.